This is BuilderDude35, and this week's tutorial is going to teach you how to tell a robot to execute an action only if both sensor A and sensor B have the desired value. Now I'm going to show you the way to construct the program to do this, and it's going to work with any two sensors that you want to use, but in the example that I'm going to be using, I'm going to have the robot complete the action only if the touch sensor is pressed and the color sensor sees red. So it needs to wait for both of these conditions to occur to be ordered to execute the action that comes after it. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to construct this in the EV3 software. So right now I have opened the EV3 programming software, and what I'm going to first show you is how to get this operation to work if you have two sensors, but one sensor is always going to be activated before another. And if this is the case, congratulations, because your life is going to be really easy today. So you're going to simply take out two wait blocks, and you're going to set the first one to whatever the first sensor to be activated is. In my case, I'm using the touch sensor. So we set the touch sensor to whatever we want it to do, and then we set the color sensor to whatever we want it to do. And in this case, we want it to see red. And that's basically it, because we know the touch sensor is going to get touched first. That's what we're going to put first, and then the color sensor, because it's going to wait for the touch sensor to get to its desired state, then the color sensor to get to its desired state, then it does whatever it wants to do afterwards. However, what if your program doesn't necessarily press one sensor before the other, and the order of activation of the sensor could be in any order? That's what I'm going to show you right now, and it's going to be a little bit more complex. First, what you're going to do is take out a loop block like this, and then we'll give it some kind of fun name. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take out two wait blocks, kind of like similar to what we did before. I'm going to extend this down, but we're going to put each wait block's parameters within the loop. So what I mean by that is we have a branch here, and then it splits off for a separate branch that runs simultaneously on the bottom here. And we're going to set this to sensor A, whatever our first sensor is. In this case, let's use the touch sensor. And then we have this already set to what we want it to do. This down here we're going to set to be the color sensor. And so the next thing we're going to do is take two more switch blocks, and what we're going to do is put them on each branch like so. And what we're going to do is, since we have the touch sensor up here, we're going to have the color sensor as the next block to be activated. So we're going to set it to whatever you need it to be. In this case, I'm going to use color sensor compare color, and then we have set to red here, and we're going to put an interrupt if there's a yes. So we're going to interrupt loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and if no, we're going to leave that empty. And we're going to be doing the same thing in reverse on this bottom branch here. And right now we have this set to everything that we needed to do. And again, like it up there, we're going to put an interrupt of this loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top branch. So let me explain what we just did here. We put out a loop block, which means it continually checks the sensors until it gets the conditions that it wants. So it's continuously running these two branches simultaneously. In this first branch, it's going to check the touch sensor first, and then in the second branch, it checks the color sensor first. But in either branch, it's sensor A first, and if sensor A reaches its desired value, then it's on to sensor B, and if sensor B is also the desired value, then it skips outside the loop to execute whatever's next afterwards. If it doesn't reach its desired value, then it'll keep looping. And the reason why we have two branches is because, like I said before, this is if you don't know that a specific sensor is always going to be the first one to be activated. So in this case, either the touch sensor or the color sensor could be activated first, and the program will still work. And you could also do this with as many sensors as you like. You're just going to need more branches, and you can also substitute in whatever other sensors that you'd like. Like maybe instead of color sensor, I'd want an infrared sensor for proximity, and it's just as simple as changing the sensors in their modes. Now, running this program, the robot will wait until the touch sensor is pressed and the color sensor sees red to execute the action that comes after it. And if one of these is not being present, one of these conditions is not happening, then it won't. It'll just keep waiting until it gets both the touch sensor pressed and the color sensor sees red. Thank you for watching my tutorial this week. If you liked it, please subscribe for more tutorials, and I'll see you next Thursday with next week's tutorial. Bye!